Hello. The name is Daman Dev Sood. Welcome to my weekly show, My Top Tips. An important change that the day for these episodes has been changed to Sunday. Time is still same 9 a.m. IST, just 15 minutes. After that, you have the whole day for you. So once again, an experimental change. The day for my top tips is now Sunday. Earlier experiment continues that I attempt to read rather than show slides while talking. One of the benefits is that some people say, the one we are driving, and at that time we are taking up this session or looking into a recorded version. So it's audio that is more useful. So I'll continue that way. Today's discussion is about a very important topic, which is around data and its backup. So I'm saying this to ensure, to discuss, to impress upon that business continuity depends upon recoverability of your data. And here is a question that every leader should ask. Over the years, I have met hundreds of CIOs, CTOs, CISOs, risk managers, and business leaders. Almost every organization tells me the same thing. We have backups. My next question is always simple. How do you know you can recover? And then there is often a pause. The reality is that many organizations spend significant amount of money on backup technologies, replication platforms, cloud storage, disaster recovery sites, and cyber resilience tools. Yet, very few can confidently demonstrate that they can recover the right data at the right time and in the right sequence and within the business's acceptable downtime. This distinction is critical. Backups are not the goal. Recoverability is the goal. And that is where business continuity management, BCM, and IT disaster recovery or ITDR come together. I say BCM defines the destination, ITDR provides the vehicle. Business continuity management is not about technology. It is about business outcomes. It takes questions such as which services must continue? What commitments have we made to customers? Which regulatory obligations cannot be interrupted? How much downtime can the business tolerate? IT disaster recovery then answers a different set of questions like which systems support those services? How quickly can they be restored? How much data can be lost? What technology capabilities are needed to achieve recovery? In simple terms, BCM defines what the business needs, ITDR defines how technology will support those needs or fulfill those needs. When these two disciplines operate independently, organizations often end up recovering technology that the business does not urgently need, while critical business processes remain unavailable. True resilience begins when recovery priorities are driven by business impact rather than technical convenience or technology existence or availability. This leads us to a fact that the most important question is not about backup. Whenever organizations discuss disaster recovery, conversations quickly move towards backup frequencies, storage capacity, cloud replication, and retention periods. These are important, but they are not the most important questions. The most important question is, can the data actually be restored when needed? Infrastructure can be rebuilt, applications can be reinstalled, servers can be replaced. But if critical data cannot be recovered, the business remains disrupted. This is why backup should never be treated as a storage activity. It is a recoverability activity. Data backup is not an activity. Data backup is a management. Data management. The objective is not to create copies of data. The objective is to restore business operations. Now we talk about the recoverability cycle. Recoverability requires a disciplined approach. The cycle begins with identifying critical data and understanding its business importance or business impact, or the importance based on the business impact. It continues through defining backup objectives, executing backups, protecting copies, verifying integrity, testing restoration, validating recovered data, documenting outcomes, and auditing the entire process. Notice something interesting. Only a small portion of this cycle involves actually taking backups. Most of the effort involves assurance. Assurance that the data is usable, assurance that data restoration works, assurance that recovery objectives can be achieved, and assurance that people know what to do during a crisis. This is where matured organizations separate themselves from everyone else. So, let us discuss why testing matters more than technology. One of the most dangerous assumptions in resilience is, if backups are running, recovery will work. Experience repeatedly proves otherwise. A backup dashboard showing green status indicators does not guarantee successful recovery. The only way to know whether recovery is possible is to perform a restoration testing. Testing reveals missing dependencies, corrupted backup sets, incomplete documentation, unclear responsibilities, unrealistic recovery options, assumptions, and recovery timelines that exceed business expectations. Every test teaches something. Every test exposes a weakness. Every weakness discovered during testing is a crisis avoided in the future. That is why testing should never be viewed as an audit requirement. Testing is a learning mechanism. So, my phrase, testing the test. Matured organizations take the concept even further. They do not simply test recovery, they test the testing process itself. They ask, was the scenario realistic? Were the correct systems selected? Were recovery objectives measured? Was data integrity validated? Were lessons learned documented? And were corrective actions completed? Many audits, many tests have test reports, but no action is taken further. That is not good status. That will weaken the resilience. When testing becomes auditable, It transforms a technical exercise into a management control. It provides evidence. It creates accountability and it supports continual improvement. And a challenge called the real life trap of real time replication. Let me share a challenge I often put before organizations. Suppose an organization spends heavily on a highly sophisticated disaster recovery solution with a real time replication between primary and secondary sites. Many leaders assume that such an arrangement guarantees resilience. I disagree. The first question should always be, what problem are we trying to solve? Not all data requires a real-time replication. Not all applications require zero time downtime. Blind investment in expensive technology can sometimes create complexity without delivering proportional business value. Nothing comes free in this world. So we should be very careful about our investments, whether it is time, effort, or money. Resilience should be driven by business requirements, not by technology marketing. Another real case is the data corruption problem. Consider this scenario, a live one, without naming the organization. A global financial institution maintained excellent disaster recovery capabilities. Critical data was replicated continuously to a secondary site. On paper, everything looked perfect. Then a problem occurred. Data corruption appeared in the production environment. Within moments, the corruption was replicated to the secondary environment as well. The organization has two copies of corrupted data. At that point, recovery depended not on replication but on backups, physical backups, tape backups, or disk backups kept separately somewhere else. The team successfully recovered the affected records, but the incident raises an important question. If restoring a small number of records takes a few hours, that's what that organization faced. What happens when the scale becomes much larger? Thousands of records, millions or billions of records. Think yourself. How long can the business tolerate being unavailable? How dependent are other systems on that data? Can unaffected services continue operating independently? And do those even matter because those are less critical services? These are not technology questions, these are business continuity questions. Finally, the discussion leading to the leadership conversation. The purpose of BCM and ITDR is not merely to satisfy auditors or comply with standards. Their purpose is to enable informed decision making. Leaders should regularly discuss what level of downtime is acceptable, what level of data loss is acceptable, which services must recover first, which recovery investments deliver the greatest value, and what evidence proves recoverability. Most importantly, leaders should move beyond the statement, we have backups. Instead, they should be able to confidently say, we know we can recover. That single sentence represents the difference between documentation and resilience. It is the difference between hope and assurance. And when the next disruption arrives, assurance is what truly matters. With this, I would like to close exactly 15 minutes. Discussions today were about data, data backup, data recoverability, data management, BCM, ITDR, and resilience. If you have any questions about this or resilience as a whole, please feel free to write to me and I will be happy to respond. This is your host, Daman Dev Sood, logging off from my weekly show, My Top Tips with Changed State, every Sunday at 9 a.m. IST. I look forward to see you all Sundays. Bye bye.